idea. I will find him!
You're a breed. Men are brave.
It's not about deserve. It's about what you believe.
Could've just peed on him.
Like brunch. Like, what is brunch?
The story of the Defiance is well known.
What, we some kind of suicide squad?
Heroes don't kill people.
Well, I do.
Martha!
Hello everyone and welcome back to Enter the SnyderVerse, where we are going through every movie in the DCEU. I am one of your hosts, Kyle.
I'm Nathan, I'm your other host.
And today we are doing Wonder Woman 2017. Easily the best movie we've watched so far. Not to spoil my opinion on the movie.
It's fairly solid entry, I will admit. I watched it last night. I try and always watch these films just before we record, and I must say it was a very enjoyable watch. I haven't seen it in a number of years.
No, me neither. This is one of the 3 movies I have seen before.
What was the third? I know the other one was 2016 Suicide Squad.
Oh, you love this. It was Black Adam.
Ah. What a 3 completely unrelated outings in this universe.
You know, these things just happen. Almost all of these I watched because my parents were watching them. And I was like, I guess I'll drop in and watch it as well. I've never gone out of my way to watch any of these movies before.
Right, so you've never actually seen any of these in the cinema?
No, none.
Right, so you first came to this by just watching it on the TV?
Yes.
Very good. Well, I first came to this in the cinema. This was, again, part of my accidentally having seen Man of Steel in the cinema. Then when Batman vs Superman came out, I made a little promise in my head to see them all in the cinema. Just because I'd missed some Marvel films in the cinema when I was younger. But I thought, right, well, I'll see all the DC ones. I'll just make that little mental trick in my head to do that. No, not thinking that it would crash and burn and be over by 2023, but you know.
To be fair, 10 years is a pretty good innings. It's better than most other cinematic universes have managed.
Very, very true. Very true, but it's been a banged up run.
Remember the Dark Universe?
I love the Dark Universe. I got a Dark Universe tattoo on my back.
Oh my.
When they announced they were making it. You
got that picture, that Photoshop picture of them all together, you got it just tattooed on your back?
Yeah, I got, I think it's Johnny Depp on one side and Javier Bardem at the other. I got Johnny Depp at my neck and I got Javier Bardem down at my lower back. Tom
Cruise somewhere in the middle.
He's right in the middle, yeah. He's right in the middle. If I lie side on, it looks like it's a landscape portrait.
Well, speaking of dead things, let's get back to the DCEU, shall we?
Yes, let's do it. So, Kyle, this was the 2017 Wonder Woman outing, directed by Patty Jenkins and produced by the Snyders, Zack and Deborah Snyder.
Ah, okay. I wondered what that... I did catch that in the credits.
Yeah, Deborah Snyder, Zack Snyder's wife, and
right.
Also business partner. She's also creative, but I don't think she does much directing. She just helps behind the scenes. And producers, I think, are usually quite... I mean, you get celebrity producers like a Kevin Feige or a Kathleen Kennedy, but producers don't really get a lot of credit, I don't think, because they really help helm things for the director. They help assemble the assets for the director to use. And I think that, you know, executive producers can vary in their involvement movie to movie. They sometimes can mean a lot and sometimes mean nothing. But producers usually do mean something. So Zack Snyder had a hand in this. And people forget that.
I'm sure you won't let us forget it.
I won't let you forget it. He's a good man. He's a wonderful wife.
Well, as I am, I took down the critics and audience scores.
Yes, she did. Hit us with it.
We're going from the worst ranked movie in the entire series to the second best, I want to say.
Okay.
So we've got a critic score of 93%.
That's great.
And an audience score of 83%.
That's still fantastic.
Yes, it's immensely high.
Especially just post 2016 SJW Gate.
Which one was the 2016 SJW Gate?
Well, that was like the year that everything was screeching about, you know, snowflakes and wokeism.
I don't know if I'd say that was specifically I feel like that started in like Gamergate, which was I want to say like 2013.
Was that 2013? My goodness. Mm-hmm. My goodness.
There was the SJW thing was a good like 4 or 5 year period there.
Oh my goodness gracious me.
I mean, arguably we're still in it, but it doesn't seem quite as pervasive
It's
as it
evolved
used to be.
now. It's something else. It's something else.
It's definitely evolved now,
yeah.
yes.
But I think that this has aged remarkably well.
Agreed. I think part of that is that it's a period piece.
Yes, that's also quite true. A period piece struggles to age.
I was thinking about this, and I'm going to say something potentially provocative.
Right, okay.
I think this might be the most important DCEU movie.
Oh, okay. Let's state your case, caller.
Okay, well, two different angles. One of these is the silly angle, which is this proved that the DCU could actually make a good movie, which is why it kept going.
Oh. Right, okay.
But the second one is that it is like the first successful female-led superhero movie, because obviously there's a couple before this, like Supergirl in the 90s, which is apparently terrible, and Catwoman, which is terrible.
I wouldn't have
for some
told
reason
either
I have
of
seen that
those
one.
a success story.
No, exactly, right?
This is a pretty much...
Oh, we can't forget Elektra as well, obviously.
We can forget it, actually. Yeah, I just did, you know. This was definitely not a proof of concept, because I think that's a ridiculous idea to assume that you could never have made a good one with a female. This was the here's your proof, you know?
Yes. Here's your proof that this will sell just as well as a male-led superhero movie.
Exactly, yeah.
And just in general, I think it's crazy that it was 2017 before we got a Wonder Woman movie, one of DC's probably third most popular character.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, that's the Trinity. The Trinity.
Yeah,
is
that
Batman,
is the big
Superman,
three of
Wonder Woman.
DC.
Yeah, and we never got a Batman one.
Yeah, but we have plenty of Batman movies before this, though.
Apart from Man of Steel, Batman has been in every DCEU movie till this point, or mentioned. And actually, technically, he was mentioned in Man of Steel by virtue of the Wayne Enterprises satellite.
That's true, yes.
Batman has a...
We can infer that was Batman.
Yes, he has a long shadow in the DCEU. In this film, the first scene, he's sending little gifts to Diana, hasn't he?
He is. Well, before we get into that, I guess...
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, I was making my case there, but we need to give our overall thoughts as his format for the podcast.
Okay, so I think you kind of gave yours quite strongly at the start there.
I guess I did, yes.
Yeah,
I mean, but beyond it being important, I'll also say I do really like this movie. I think the third act kind of muddles things a little bit, but overall I still think it's a very enjoyable, good, well-made film.
I think I align with you in that sense. I was going to say no notes. I have quite a lot of notes, actually, but it's highly enjoyable. Like, this isn't a movie that I feel like I really need to stretch to justify the film's actions. I do have some things, and I'm sure we'll get into it.
Oh yeah, we're massive nitpickers,
Yeah,
as always.
we're massive nitpickers, and I have a lot more praise than criticism, but I think some of my criticisms are kind of pretty, in my mind, pretty obvious when you actually go through it. But we'll come to it. I think Kyle probably likes this film more than me, but that's not to say that I dislike. If Kyle likes this movie 90%, I could say I like this film 80%. You know, like it's not like my liking of it less doesn't mean I dislike it at all.
So yeah, Bruce Wayne is sending her little gifts. How did he get that picture? Because he's Batman, I guess.
He got it from the USB drive that she couldn't find the picture on.
Well, no, because he says in his letter that it's the original. He found it in an archive somewhere.
Oh, right. Well, I thought I just presumed he printed it out. I can't remember the letter.
Maybe he did. Maybe it's just a lie. But
yeah,
it does
he's just a
say
liar.
in his little note.
he just got Alfred to print it out.
It's like, she doesn't... How would she know it's the original? It's just whatever.
I mean, listen, Batman can do anything. That I'm Batman line is applicable here, you know?
Sure,
So my second note of this film, which is when because we go into a flashback, she looks at the photo and she's like, oh, I remember when I was a child and what led me to meeting the love of my life.
Well, the framing device is like, she learned a lesson from this big adventure, basically.
Yes.
I think is what, yes.
But the film feels the need to go back before she learned that lesson to when she was a child, because there's like 20 years there, you know?
Well, yeah, it's an origin story.
Yeah.
Is there 20 years there? Question mark.
Well, so something in my note says, how long was Diana a child for?
It's unclear because she stays an adult for 100 years. So
At least, yeah. But you would presume the gods done battle with Ares and died thousands of years.
Prehistory, yeah.
Yeah, before this. So she was a child.
Well, that was one of the things in my notes, is all the Greek gods are dead, question mark.
Apparently
Ares killed
so.
them all.
I mean, do you remember, this was from a few years ago when DC was still, chugging along, was that Ava DuVernay was supposed to be making a DC's New Gods film, and it was kind of supposed to be their answer to, like, the Eternals. And the Eternals came out, and DC just never made their New Gods film.
They were like, oh, we don't actually need to compete with Eternals. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. But so we've spoke about how we might do a bonus episode where we just talk about all the projects that never happened.
Yes.
That would be one of them. I think that one got quite far along in pre-production. Didn't have any cast, I don't believe. But I think probably that being about the New Gods, we'd probably talk about the old gods somewhat as well. So this might have come back up again.
Potentially. I will say, I really like Themyscira, though. I'm glad we spent some time there. I think Themyscira is cool.
It's gorgeous. So my second note of my entire list is I should replay Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
It is very Assassin's Creed Odyssey, isn't it?
And I was in Greece in August last year, and my God, I'd never been before. It was my first time in Greece, and I was on a cruise, so I was island hopping. And it's just such a gorgeous part of the world. Like, it's just the Mediterranean and all those islands is just breathtaking. And to watch a film that I don't really know where the Themyscira is in the world.
I assume somewhere in the Mediterranean, right?
So,
Although that doesn't explain how German U-boats ended up there. I don't know.
they can go through Gibraltar. I don't know.
I guess so.
It really just, it made me nostalgic for somewhere that I was less than a year ago, because last time I'd watched this, I'd never been there. And it's just, that water looks terrific. The high cliff sides. Oh, wonderful. Like, I can just feel it. Oh.
I think something I really appreciate about the movie is it does clever things with the colour grading there, where Themyscira is all like bright and fantasy looking, and then you go to the real World War I world and it's all grey and grimy.
Yeah, welcome to the Industrial Revolution.
Yes, well, welcome to the real world, because there's like an interesting shot where like one of the German soldiers kind of pokes his head through whatever the magical barrier is.
Yes.
And like everything just completely changes.
And you can see the grey behind them, like almost like it's like a fade. Yeah, absolutely. So what I was going to say about that was, so I know it was like in the fog, it was a little bit rocky. Probably is like something to sway away rogue sailors from getting there, right? But that ship was perfectly not in danger despite the rocks. Like, the film doesn't paint that as an issue. And then somehow the ship passes through the portal with the other rowboats, and it is in the process of sinking. Like, it's been hit from behind.
Maybe they pelted it with arrows off screen. I don't know.
I don't know. And then, like, they just never go back to it. Is there now just a World War I German destroyer sitting at the bottom of the sea at the Themyscira?
Yeah. I mean, I guess so. I mean, I'll be honest, Themyscira, it's pretty well hidden. It's got a big invisible force field, but it's not that well hidden.
Yeah,
like, I feel like
people go missing all the time.
Yeah, if people can just accidentally find it, then it doesn't seem like it's not like in an alternate dimension or anything. It's just like in a force field around it.
Yeah, it's not even like going to the land of the dead in Pirates of the Caribbean, meaning you rock the ship right as the sun sets with a green beam. It's just a force field.
because I had a question about that a little later on as well, which is when Diana leaves Themyscira, her mum is like, "Oh, you can never return again once you leave," and why not?
I don't think...
Why can't she come back?
I've never interpreted that as being like as a matter of physics and, the way this works, you can't re-enter. It was just like a matter of like code of honor or something.
Oh, she's just been expelled?
Yeah, she's just exiled.
I guess so.
Yeah, it's like the Senate, because even though she's like the queen, there's senators, and like we don't really go too much into the politics of how the Themyscira operates, and that's fine, I guess. No. But
yeah, it's all good.
It does kind of make you wonder who has power here, where the queen's own daughter can't return. Yeah,
because I'll be honest, I don't know much about Wonder Woman comic books, but I don't think that's a thing in the comics. I think she comes and goes from Themyscira all the time in the comics.
I believe she is the queen in the comics, isn't she?
She is the queen sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess it's just so they can't come back later in the story and say, "Hey, I found Ares, come help me."
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Absolutely, you're not wrong about that. So one of my first little actor nods here is that Robin Wright is great.
Robin Wright as...
The general.
Yes, the one who's training her in secret.
Yes, little bit sinister when little child Diana is made to flee her room in the middle of the night for secret training sessions to meet a very scary woman in a cave. But I suppose there's no crime in the mascara. Like, it's fine.
No, I mean, they're not fully people or something. They're like...
No,
they're made of clay.
They are people. Only Diana is not a true Amazonian because she was made by clay by her mother and then given life by Zeus. But everyone else was made directly by the gods.
Yeah, well, it's confusing.
There was like another step involved to make Diana. The DCEU never truly goes into the creation of Diana in a way that I think Marvel would have.
No, she is like a demigod. Sort of.
Literally handcrafted and then given life by a god. And the film just kind of mentions it all as backstory.
Yeah.
Like, it's never really gone into, which I think probably is a little bit to the detriment of the film and of just the franchise, because I think that's something that would have been pretty cool to see. But they never really treat her the way, like, the MCU treats Thor.
No.
You know, which I guess is fine.
Well, they're doing different things. Shall we talk about Gal Gadot a little bit?
Let's talk about Gal Gadot. Let's talk about Gal Gadot.
So, I think 100% she looks the part. I think she looks like a woman who could kick your ass, which is,
casting directors did a good job on, getting good looks,
Yeah. I think in terms of acting, I don't think she's a strong actor, but I think this movie knows how to use her well.
I agree with you there. I agree.
I think the moments where she comes across as the best are in like the fish out of water moments where they do like she's interacting with the real world and they have a silly clothes montage and all that. I enjoy all of that stuff.
Yes, that's because a lot of it's physicality.
Yes, exactly. I think a lot of the serious moments land a little bit less well.
Yeah, exactly. She just kind of comes across a little bit ropey. I think she's helped a lot by the script being fairly tight.
Yes.
The script's quite good, but her delivery sometimes sounds a little bit unconvincing.
Yes.
Something in my notes that I have written 3 times, and we'll come back to him in greater detail, but it's Chris Pine is great.
Oh, he's so good in this movie.
He's amazing in this film, and we'll speak about him later.
Another controversial thing is I think Chris Pine might be the best Hollywood Chris. Is that controversial to say?
I mean, I agree with it, so yeah, I know I can't fight you on that. A lot of people like Hemsworth. I don't think anyone thinks Chris Pratt's the best Chris.
I mean, Hollywood thinks Chris Pratt is the best Chris.
I
they
think
keep putting him in everything.
I think they're all insane.
Chris Pratt is fine.
He's fine.
Okay.
But I think like first and second are fairly close together, and there's a big jump down to third for me personally.
You're forgetting about Chris Evans as well. He's up there as well.
Oh yeah, I was thinking Hemsworth. You're right though that it was Evans I was forgetting. But yeah, so I think something that makes Chris Pine great in this film is also because he's carrying a lot of the scenes where it's just the two of them.
Yes, that is fair to say.
Like,
yeah, he's a significantly better actor.
Yeah, he's a significantly better actor, and I think for him to have to overcome these hurdles is just tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. A lot of it will also come down to Patty Jenkins, who's a terrific director. She knows how to use her actors. Amazingly talented director there in Patty Jenkins. It's a shame that she never got to make her Star Wars Top Gun movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess we'll get to Wonder Woman 1984 at some point, right?
Yeah, well, oh boy, will we. That's one film you've never seen.
No, but I've heard things. I haven't watched it, but when my mum watched it, she said it would be a good video to watch for me making a video. So,
Yeah.
That tells me all I need to know,
yeah.
really.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So, for me, for Gal Gadot, she is good when used appropriately. I think I kind of more or less agree with you, actually, on the Gal Gadot acting standpoint. Wonderfully beautiful woman. She was in the Fast and the Furious franchise before that. This is definitely a step up for her career-wise, because she's going from being a support kind character to the lead. But you could also argue that in Wonder Woman there are 2 leads, because Chris Pine gets a lot of screen time.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely not the lead, but he's not a sidekick either.
Yeah, he's his own full character, which is something I have to say about this film wider, and it almost feels like 2 movies squished together, where there's a version of the script where Chris Pine is the lead. And
I don't know if I'd say that.
So, I have a thesis here in my notes.
Okay, make your case.
Right, so let me just find it here. After he crashes onto the island, and we get a Little Mermaid tribute, you know, where she saves him and all that from the water. Now, when he gets off the Mosquito and they get back to London, he hands over the notebook, as he always would have had he not crashed there, right?
Yep.
She doesn't really contribute much to that.
Well, she can read it.
Well, yeah, she can read it, but other translators existed. This wasn't some ancient language they couldn't decipher. They kind of knew what it was, just no one knew how to read it. Uh-huh. It's World War One. There'll be translators everywhere. You know, this would have been just part of military, you know, decryption.
Who's that guy who wrote James Bond? He would be on it.
He would exactly be on that, right? Ian Fleming.
That might be in World War Two. Whatever.
They then go to No Man's Land, but they already seem like they know No Man's Land is there, right? That the Western Front is a well-established fortification of battlement lines in 1918. It's not a mystery that that's going to be there, but they go anyway, and it sounds like they have a plan to try and get round it. Wonder Woman saves us time in a tremendous action sequence, might I add, by blasting.
We'll get to it. Yes.
We'll get to it. But it sounds like Chris Pine feels fairly confident they can sneak away around it because he's a spy, you know?
Yes.
They would have made it to the gala. If Ludendorff left and he was chatting up Dr. Poison, Chief could have, you know, because there's a character called Chief, we'll get there, would have led Chris Pine to the airfield. He could have snuck aboard the plane. Not like Ludendorff would have particularly stopped him. He was up in his little guard tower and flew away and blew up the plane, fell him over. Wonder Woman has a whole separate film where she's hunting down Ares. Like, I don't really know that Chris Pine knows why he's taking Diana East.
I mean, they made a deal.
Yeah, but it's 1918, and everyone, like, the film loves to hit people over the head with, like, you know, sexism. What is a woman doing here? I don't really fully buy, because I don't think he really fully believes the Ares stuff, really. And even at the end,
they have a conversation about it.
Yeah, exactly. They have a conversation about it. He's just taking a woman east, to just dispel her of her delusions. It's pretty dangerous.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he does know that she's like a very capable warrior. It's not like he knows that she has superpowers.
Yes, this is true. He knows that what does he know the superpowers? I think he just knows that she's a capable, like, combat aficionado.
Well, he saw her, like, deflecting bullets and stuff, so
that's the bracers. That's just good armor. That's good Industrial Revolution steel there. That's Sheffield steel, okay. Kyle. I think I think Gal Gadot and Chris Pine almost feel like they're operating from two different scripts that have been welded together. And I mean, the end result isn't awful, by the way. I'm like, again, when I said earlier that if I like this film 80%, I'm not saying this to be like, well, actually, it's a bait and switch. You don't like this film 20%. Here's the massive issue with it. I just think that in terms of furthering Chris Pine's plan to stop the war from going on, Wonder Woman doesn't have much to do with that unless you believe that Ares is the cause of the war, which the film tries to say isn't the case and men are just evil, which is the more impactful story. But then when Ares is dead...
They pull their punch at the last second, yeah.
Yeah, then when Ares is dead... Oh, everyone's friends.
That's a weird one. We'll get to that.
We'll get there.
Overall, I'm going to disagree with you slightly on that, just because the movie is framed within Diana learning a lesson from this, which means, like, she doesn't necessarily have to have the main impact on the plot in that way. She is kind of along for the ride as well. So, I don't necessarily agree fully that it feels like two different scripts. I think that's a third act problem that comes along when we get to the third act.
I mean, listen, that's absolutely fair enough. I cannot necessarily fault that train of thought, because the film is enjoyable. And when I'm saying this, I don't think it still undercuts the enjoyment of the film, because it's not like she is not contributing. Diana Prince, Wonder Woman, is saving the day with wonderfully shot action sequences. The cinematography in this film is gorgeous, you know? And it's a funny
There's
film
a lot
as well.
of slow-mo jumping off of horses.
Zack Snyder, baby!
That is the Snyder influence.
That's the Snyder influence. Those producer cuts aren't for nothing. He's like, Paddy, you know, really good here in the Eden Suite. Some slow motion.
What if the Amazons jumped off the cliff and then in slow motion we saw them like jump down and shoot arrows and all that
Tremendous.
stuff?
I actually think the Amazonians are legitimately an intimidating fighting force, even for 1914 or 1918, should I say?
I mean, back then guns weren't so good, you know. You get one shot, and if you miss it, your kid is screwed.
There's a great bit when the Germans storm the beach in the Mascara. Just after Robin Wright gets shot, she takes the bullet for Diana, and then Chris Pine runs over to like just be there, and there's a German standing to the side of him, and he does like a cool trick shot where he kind of shoots without looking the guy.
He does a Han Solo.
Yeah. He's like holding the rifle with two hands, but he completely shoots sideways. Oh, great.
I will say, I do have some questions about the way the Germans are portrayed in this movie.
Go on.
Which is, I kind of feel like for a lot of this movie, the movie kind of wants you to pretend that they're Nazis, even though they're not.
Because of the gas?
Not, just because of the way they're treated as, like, cannon fodder, basically, in the movie. Like, Chris Pine has a line where he's like, those are the bad guys. And it's like, well, in World War II, they're the bad guys. In World War I, things are a little more shades of grey, which is kind of part of the theme of the movie.
They still tried
really
to
embrace.
invade France, didn't they?
Well,
they are the
quite.
They are the opponent, and America's allies have been in deep trench combat for 4 years at this point. Like, I can buy that he'll be like, they're the baddies.
I can buy that he'd be like that, but when you get into the character of, like, Ludendorff and Dr. Poison, where they're just, like, comically evil, it's like, this is maybe not a perfect representation of Germans during World War I.
Something I have in my notes here is evil pantomime villains kill the German negotiating team.
Yes.
So Ludendorff goes to speak to the German, like, higher military command that are talking about signing the armistice and ending the war, right? And then he's like, I'm going to chuck a gas grenade, I'm leaving, I'm going to keep the war going even if you guys want to end it. And he chucks and then he chucks a gas mask in, even though it won't have any effect because it's hydrogen based. And then he locks the door, and when Dr. Poison says, you know that gas mask isn't going to work, right? And he's like, yeah, but they don't know that. Then they do like a little double over belly laugh where they both kind of slap their thighs and go,
we're so evil.
Yeah. It looks like it belongs in a Disney film. And I don't mean that like, oh, it's Marvel. I mean like a comic Disney movie. Like, it belongs like a Mary Poppins baddie. like I'm the evil banker
film.
man.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, twirling mustache. Literally. It is insane.
Yeah, this is what I mean, like, there's definitely parts of this movie where it's like, yeah, just think of these guys as Nazis. They're pure evil. Don't worry about it.
Also, something that I found quite interesting is the German general is Ludendorff. Ludendorff is a real historical person.
Is he really? I didn't know that.
Ludendorff was a real German general in the First World War, but he wasn't like an obscure one. He was the main one. He went on to like be like, I think, a critic of Hitler and the Weimar Republic and all that. Like, he was like a pretty big deal.
So was there maybe concerns about presenting him as a comic bad guy? And
so I've not heard that anyone badmouth it, right? But
the Ludendorff estate not super happy about this film.
No, I just find it a very peculiar choice to have made him a real historical figure who you then kill off, who went on to like be a figure in German public life in the 20s and 30s.
I think this movie could have maybe benefited from condensing Ludendorff and Dr. Poison into one character called Dr. Poison. I don't really think you need both of these characters.
I agree.
I don't know if they felt like Dr. Poison was too, like, weird to be, like, also a German general, but I don't know, I think you could make it work.
But, so the thing is here, like, it's not that he was a German general and Dr. Poison was separate. I just find it really, really strange to use the historical person for that.
It is strange,
It's not like Patrick Morgan is a real... It's not like they made him Lloyd George, the British Prime Minister. Like, they just made him
he's a fictional British Prime Minister.
He's a fictional person, yeah. Whereas, oh no, Ludendorff's a real person and we're just going to kill him off in 1918, and... Like, so that kind of says, well, this isn't set in our world, even though I think the other movies try to
obviously
imply...
it's not, but...
I think the other movies try to imply this is all of our world, and it's just things are changing.
I mean, yeah, but that was out of the window when Wonder Woman showed up in Batman v Superman and was in World War One in 1918.
It could be a myth of the war that you kind of never knew if it was true or not, and this film just says it was true. But we know Ludendorff didn't die in 1918.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe he survived being stabbed with a sword, you know? He did have that magic super soldier gas.
He did. That's something else I have in my notes here. Super soldier serum, but it's gas because it's World War One.
Yeah, well, they left their gas back in World War One.
All their mustard gas and all. And what? It's like a little pill that he gives him, and he needs to snap it in two.
Yeah, he like cracks it open
and then sniffs it up. It's very strange. It's very, very strange.
It's only there so that he can have somewhat of an even match with Wonder Woman, basically.
Even though they only fight in this fight that he dies in.
Yeah, well, it makes it slightly more intense, you know?
I think it's just a red herring to have you think that he's Ares and somehow Doctor...
Oh, I mean, that's his entire role in the movie.
Yeah, but it's almost like maybe Ares is sort of a non-corporeal entity and then sort of is able to whisper into Dr. Poison's ear to make some sort of medicine that will make some person out there susceptible to me entering their body as a spirit and taking over. That's kind of what I felt that they were trying to do.
But no, it's just super soldier serum.
It's just super. That never comes up again.
No.
Apparently that last pill he cracked was the last one.
I'll say, this is one of those movies where I don't think they ever actually say the name Wonder Woman at any point in the movie.
Yeah, I believe you had in your notes something about no man's land, no man can cross it.
Yeah, so they have that, and obviously the obvious line there is the end of Return of the King, the I am no man thing.
Yeah.
But they don't do it, and you know, I respect them for not taking that obvious bait. But I will say, they never say the name Wonder Woman, but they do constantly use the name Dr. Poison, and I love that. I love that they're just, because it sounds like something that like an old-timey like radio presenter would say. Dr. Poison has drafted up another toxic thing on the battlefields.
Yeah,
you know?
it's like the Blue Shadow virus guy.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, can I just bring this up as like a note, please?
Go
So
ahead. That's
I
what we're
believe
here
I
for.
said earlier in the episode that General Ludendorff became like a critic of Hitler in the 1920s and 30s.
You've been doing research behind the scenes there.
Yeah, because I felt like I felt like I misspoke, but I wanted to be sure. So his first introduction on Wikipedia is he contributed significantly to Nazis' rise to power.
Okay, so it's fine to murder him then.
It's fine. It's absolutely fine to murder him. I apologise. As I said it earlier on, I just felt like something was off as the words were exiting my mouth. So I just had to clarify the record there without some sort of future retraction that's not in this edit.
Okay, that makes slightly more sense that they would make him a comical villain then.
Yeah, okay, so he did contribute to the right, that's fine. Okay, he was a bad one.
Dr. Poison's still not real though.
Dr. Poison, no, not a real historical figure.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I like the look of Dr. Poison, but she doesn't actually do much in the movie.
Yeah, I like it as well. I kind of like those World War One sort of prosthetics that they would give to people, for people that have undergone facial disfigurement and all that. It's quite interesting, but also very forgettable because I forgot she was in this film.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I say you could combine Ludendorff and Dr. Poison into one character and end up with a stronger villain, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree with you. I should say, they bring up that Diana knowing more about who she really is dangerous. Why
Yes.
Why is it dangerous?
I don't know. Because Ares will find her sooner,
Because
question mark,
because there's a 500 strong audience sitting through the fourth wall.
Yeah, then we can't reveal these things too early.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though watching this movie, like, the reveal that the God Killer is Diana is kind of obvious. I don't know. I wasn't, even the first time I watched this, I was like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, well, duh.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not just some random sword.
So in my notes here I have, the power is in you, Lone Star. as a little Spaceballs wink and a nod, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He just got that ring out of a Cracker Jack box. So that sword means shit, and it's all, but you have the Schwartz. You know, she has the Schwartz. Wonder Woman has the Schwartz.
Yes, she does. I will say, let's get back to Chris Pine, because I want to talk about the bath scene.
Okay, yeah,
Right.
I have a bit in my notes about that. Penis and watch confusion.
Yep, I mean, there's some comedy stuff, but
That
I
whole
think
scene got 2 laughs out of me. which is quite good.
Yeah. I think that scene it's a very feminist scene, Nathan.
Oh, right, okay, go on.
It's inverting the male gaze is what it's doing. Because you remember in Batman v Superman, there's a scene where Lois Lane is naked in a bath for no reason at all.
Sure. I don't think that's done
the-
to be particularly sexy, though, is it?
I mean, it's not that.
I'll say this: I've never ever interpreted that scene as being lewd. I don't know. I've never had like the male gaze watching Amy Adams in that bathtub.
No, but it is.
It
like,
gets
why is she
overtly
naked in a bath
sexual
at all?
when it gets overtly because they're gonna have a sex scene where Henry Cavill gets in the bath. They want a reason to put Superman in the bath.
I'm just saying, there's a scene where she's naked in the movie, and like just because, and that's that's not specifically of Batman v Superman. That's like a lot of movies.
I am familiar with the concept of male gaze. I just think that Zack Snyder does it tastefully, and there's nothing wrong with it in Batman vs Superman.
Okay, you love Zack Snyder. I'm aware. Yeah, okay.
I just think he's a very respectful. I just think he's a respectful man. I've seen 300. I know how he treats people.
Okay. Let me continue with my thought. Because
go ahead.
This scene is doing like a total inverse of that, where Chris Pine is the object of the camera's affection.
Yes,
And it lingers a lot on how hot Chris Pine is. And I just think, I mean, maybe not always the time. It's like inverting those things, make it good.
Yeah.
Just flipping it, but it's a thing that movies before this don't really do at all. So, it was something different, and it's very clear what they're doing. And I just thought it was interesting that you can really tell that this movie is directed by a woman.
Yeah. Handsome man, Chris Pine.
Oh yeah,
Handsome
absolutely.
man. I forgot that there was a watch sitting at the side of the frame. I almost wish they had done more to set up that the watch was there, because when Diana says, "What's that?" I, with the rest of the audience, are going, "Is this about the dick?" But then he goes, "Oh, the watch," and we're all supposed to go, "Ah ha 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 ha!" Of course, it was about the watch. But do we, the audience, get shown the watch? I don't think we do.
I don't remember seeing it.
I don't think
no.
the camera gives us the technical term is coverage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we get like a wide shot of the scene when he's in the bath where the watch is very prominent. It might be.
Yeah, because we just cut to him in the bath playing with the weird glowy water.
Exactly. And she just sort of stands there. It's almost like overt. Like sometimes the male gaze is supposed to be slightly, at least subtle. It might not be subtle for me, the audience, but if a character's watching a hot lady in the bath.
The one I always go back to, specifically in superhero movies, is Black Widow and Iron Man 2.
Oh God,
there's a lot of shots of just like, look how sexy Scarlett Johansson is.
Yeah. And even Tony Stark is made to play into that in character, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's like, I want one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. In this, I would just say that like Diana just constantly looking at him, like, okay. Okay, Diana.
She's never seen a man before.
And
she's read the 12 treatises on sexual pleasure or whatever. So
yeah, she has all 12 of them. But the thing that makes that funny is, Chris Pine's never read those books, or Steve Trevor rather.
Steve Trevor, not Steve Rogers. Always got to keep it in mind.
Always got to keep it in mind. Different person. You're gonna hate what they do with him in Wonder Woman 1984, Kyle.
Oh, I bet.
Oh, you're gonna hate it.
Because I will say, I mean, Chris Pine, very good actor. I totally believe that he's a man from 1918, because in a lot of period pieces like this, you're like, that's a modern day man. But just like something about the way he looks and the way he talks, it's like, I believe that this guy is from the 1918.
The year this film proposes it to be. Mm-hmm. I think actually everyone in the cast does a good job at that. Why don't we talk a little bit more about the cast apart from them?
Yes, because we also have a cast of wacky sidekicks.
Yes. First I want to bring up David Thewlis, who is Patrick Morgan / Ares /
I love this interpretation of Ares, up until he becomes a big CGI boss fight.
Yeah.
I love this idea that Ares is like a sort of behind-the-scenes manipulator, as opposed to like a big guy in armor, but then he just becomes a big guy in armor.
War. Yeah, like, because essentially what he was before that is just Sauron in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, just like whispering in people's ear, and like, I think his like motivations are really interesting, where like he's trying to prove that humanity is a failure.
Yeah,
basically
by just like playing into their worst sides. Yeah.
Well, he says specifically he's not like egging them on. He's just like giving them ideas for weapons and stuff, and just letting them use it themselves.
He's like, hey, you could do this. You could move that decimal point right here, and you might get some new math equation. Yeah.
Yeah.
And let them do, yeah, exactly. I also have my notes that when he puts on the big metal helmet at the end, he looks like a nerd.
He does. I don't want to hate the look of like all like the scrap and how he uses like element weapons of war.
Yeah, I've also got here Ares is Magneto.
Attack and stuff. He is Magneto, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, and also you see the flashback of him like all jacked up, and it's just really bizarre.
Yeah. So we do see a little bit of him in the flashback in Justice League. He has no dialogue, but he is visually present. And he looks a lot better, actually. he does.
Yeah, but it's still Professor Lupin on a big muscly CGI body, I'm sure.
yeah, it is. Yeah. I love that actor. Wonderful, David Thewlis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yeah, I really like his like vibe. I think it's crazy that he just shows up and it's like, "Hi, I'm here now. I was in London, but I'm here now because magic.
I can teleport." Yeah.
I can teleport.
I buy that. It's Ares.
But yeah, I do wonder if that big fight was like a studio note or something.
Oh,
because
I bet. Because it's a superhero movie. You got your big third act fight. It's the law.
Because like the obvious lesson of the movie is that like Ares isn't a big boss fight that you can kill at the end. It just there's a lot of stuff in that third act that's
do you think that like
doesn't
we
work.
should have killed Ludendorff with him being all jacked up on the gas? Had like, a big fight with him, then Ares shows up, and we're like, I'm more of an idea. Yes. And then he just fades out, and like Ares goes on to live another day, and the war's still over anyway.
I mean, you can still kill Ares. You can have it be a more like mind games fight. Like maybe like Wonder Woman does kill him, and then she looks out, and nothing has changed. Which is what they do with the Ludendorff fight, but that should have been the conclusion of the Ares fight, as she looks over and nothing has changed. Yeah,
but she kills Ares and everything does change.
Because her learning that lesson that humanity is their own fault lines up with her characterization in Batman v Superman.
Yep, that's why she disappears for a century.
Yeah.
Until 1984 comes out, when she didn't disappear, she was in the 80s.
But the way this movie ends, it's like, oh, she's going to go on to be a superhero for the rest of her life, but that's not what she does. So
no, but in that bit where she like jumps off the roof, that's set in modern day.
Yeah, but even before that, I don't know, it just feels like she learns the wrong lesson from where she is in Batman v Superman because of the way it's shot.
Yeah,
because obviously, like, we talk about how, like, the sun shines and all of the characters hug each other when the war is over now.
Yeah.
We know from real life that World War II happens and the Korean War happens and Vietnam War and all these different wars. The war continues, right?
Yeah.
We understand this as an audience, but the way it's shot, it kind of wants you to forget that.
It's almost like this really was the war to end all wars.
Yes, exactly.
But I don't know if you remember around about 2017, 2018, we kind of went through like a First World War love fest. It was like 100 years since the war was 1917 and stuff like that, you know?
It was a Battlefield 1 that came out then.
Yeah,
right?
Like we kind of went through a little kind of honeymoon window where people were like, oh, the First World War. And I think the First World War was quite historically interesting. I'm not saying they were glorifying
honeymoon period's an interesting way to put it.
I don't mean to imply they were glorifying it, Kyle. I'm just saying like it became a bit of the culture was talking about it, you know? It was the hot button historical thing that people liked to talk about for a few years. And that was when this film came out as well.
Yeah, I do wonder if this movie was originally supposed to be set during World War One.
I think if this movie had been made 5 years earlier, it would have been World War II.
I agree, but then they were like, well, we have this character with a shield who's like fighting people and a guy called Steve, and we're just way too close to Captain America.
Yeah, exactly. Because I have my notes here, someone watched Captain America: The First Avenger.
Yeah. There is a lot of that, and I mean, I think World War One thematically is a good choice if you want to do the whole like war is more complicated storyline.
Yeah.
Because World War One is such a mess, where World War Two has more clear villains in it.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree as well. It's kind of a smart choice. So let's circle back around to the characters, because I
Yeah,
caught
sorry.
us on Aries, but that's because
Yeah.
I just wanted to talk about David Thewlis, because he was the Prime Minister. So we've already spoke a little bit about Ludendorff. Let's speak
Yeah,
about
we've
our
got
gang of wacky characters.
Yeah, we've got our 3 wacky characters. We've got slimy language guy.
We should have these names written down.
I remember the Scottish guy's name, but I don't remember the other name.
Yeah, I've got the Scottish one written down.
Sammy. His name's Sammy.
Yes, he is called Sammy. You're right. But that's like his nickname. It has like a more fishy. But yeah, Sammy. So we have Sammy.
Yeah. We have drunk Scottish sniper man who's Charlie.
Charlie, yeah. Ewan Bremer from Train Spotting.
I've never watched Train Spotting. That's on me. I know I'm a bad Scottish lad for not watching Train Spotting.
I don't really want to get this bogged down on it, but I love Train Spotting and the second one, T2, Train Spotting 2. They're both great films, absolutely tremendous films about not Scottish life, but an aspect of drug addiction through a Scottish lens. Wonderful films. Anyway, sorry.
And then finally we have the Chief. I don't think it has a name other than that.
We have
we just call him the Chief.
Me and Kyle have been playing a lot of Halo recently.
We have. I've been doing a Halo retrospectives every time. I'm like, da 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 da.
And they kind of justify why he's there, though. Let's talk about the Chief then, right? We'll go backwards through our team.
Right. Okay.
So with the Chief, they ask, "What are you doing in Europe?" Which is a fairly good question. I think I was sort of wondering, why is he just in the forest of France and Belgium, you know? Mm-hmm. And he said,
well, there's more money to be made here.
Yeah, and then, people took all my land away from me. And then Diana asked, well, who done that to you? And he points at Chris Pine and goes, his people. Which is actually, it's his only good moment.
It is his only good moment. The only problem is it doesn't really have any effect on Diana at all, even though it kind of should.
I think it's to more underline that the world's full of grey.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's for.
A lot of this film is just about that. I guess she doesn't really take any of it in.
Yeah, that's what it's for, but yeah, at that point, Diana doesn't really reflect on it in any way whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, other than that, he's a pretty bland character overall.
Yeah, he is the blandest.
He's a very utilitarian character. He's there because he knows how to find stuff.
Yeah, he's like your fixer man. He's your guy on the ground. You can find it. Yeah. He knows everyone.
Sammy also doesn't do much.
Yeah, he got more riz though.
He does got more riz.
He does got more riz.
I enjoy when he's having a language off with Diana.
Yeah, he's in the bar and he's just talking lies, pretending he's some sort of sultan to some soldiers.
Yeah, but he's having an argument where they keep switching languages with Diana, and then she pulls out the ancient Greek, and then Chris Pine goes, you're done now.
Oh, we're done. Yeah, I can be involved in the scene now. Yeah, exactly. Sammy, I thought Sammy was quite funny, actually.
He is fun, but yeah, he doesn't do much in the movie.
He's like a strong introduction, then also goes downhill. I think probably the one that does slightly more, but still maybe doesn't do much either.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's the same problem with Charlie.
Yeah, so Charlie's our Scottish man, Ewan Bremer, Train Spotting man. So frustrating.
It is frustrating, isn't it?
It is frustrating. So he's a bit of a drunk.
He wears a kilt. He wears a kilt into battle.
Very common, actually, in real historical.
I'm aware.
Yeah,
terrible idea in a trench, but what are you gonna do?
Exactly. See, he's drunk in the bar, drinking 2 whiskies.
Another strong introduction where it's at least he knows how to fight, and it's that's not Charlie.
Yeah, that's the one that's getting punched. Actually, I want to actually go back to Chief very briefly there. We talk about strong introductions. He didn't even really get an introduction. He just sort of showed up. He was like the Slipknot of this film.
He was. I mean, not quite that bad. Yeah. But yeah, they're just at the camp, and it's oh yeah, he's here now.
Yeah, he's here now, exactly. But anyway, but yeah, for Charlie, that's not Charlie. He's the one that's getting knocked out. He's the one that Charlie's getting punched by. Mm-hmm. They do some things about how he's got shell shock.
Yes, but they don't really resolve it ever.
Yeah, well, they kind of mean to, where when they're sitting in the cafe, it's called the Cafe Bar. Did you notice that?
I didn't notice that.
So the name of the name of the village town that they elaborate at the end of it, and then there's the bar, and it's called the Cafe Bar, and they're all having beer, and Sammy brings Wonder Woman and Chris Trevor a beer. Steve Trevor, sorry. I was so worried about getting the Rogers and Trevor bit incorrect.
See, I've been worrying about that with Chris and all the other Chris's as well.
So they bring it, and then you hear Charlie playing the piano and singing a song. And you go, I've not heard him sing in years. And I think that's supposed to be the resolution, even though the whole reason they need him is because he's a good marksman.
Yes.
And then
he never shoots a single bullet.
And every action scene for the whole movie, before that moment and after that moment, where there's any shooting to be had, it's all from Chris Pine.
Yeah.
There's a bit
I
where
think
they have
Sammy
to...
gets a few shots in as well, but never from never from Charlie.
There's a bit where they have to blow open a door and someone throws a bomb at the door and then you would shoot it to blow it up. Mm-hmm. And it's Chris Pine that shoots it. You would think it's a bomb in motion flying through the air. You want the marksman to shoot that.
It's really weird because they have the scene, the setup for this, which is they're in the village and there's a sniper in the tower and they say, Charlie, you got to get that sniper in the tower, and he can't make the shot because he has PTSD.
Yes.
And that is your setup for like later when he's like gained his confidence back. He has to make a shot and he does make it this time. But they never have the resolution scene. It's very strange.
Yeah, he hasn't like seemed to be like shooting some like guards post tower at the end of the film or anything like that. It's just no.
And like
he becomes the binoculars man.
Yes. Maybe it's not a super healthy resolution to be like, oh, he can murder people again. It's all good. But
it's to show that he's... Maybe that's why his resolution was, oh, he can sing songs again, even though he was never someone that swore off singing at the start.
Yeah, they just don't make it super clear that that's what's going on.
Yeah. There's just like, oh, he's happy, he hasn't been singing in years, and now he's singing again. And that's a healthier message than, oh, I've got over my issues and I can murder again. But also...
I mean, that's why I say this is the wacky side Kick Squad. They're mostly here for utility and comic relief.
Yeah, exactly. Something to do with my notes though is I find Charlie just to be painfully sexist in a way that I find very annoying.
Is he?
Yeah, the whole film is like, come on, wee lassie, we're not doing that. Get it down, lassie. The whole film. Oh, yeah, woman, where you going, woman?
I don't know, is that sexist?
Oh, it's because he won't actually call her Diana, stop. It's just, come on, woman. Woman. That to me, that reads as quite sexist. Come on, female.
I kind of more read that as like the language of the time as opposed to being like outwardly sexist.
Yeah, but
because they have other like obvious sexism moments, like when Diana walks into the House of Parliament and everyone just stops and looks at her.
Yeah, I guess I agree with you, but it still rubs me the wrong way. Maybe it's because I am Scottish and I hear that even today and I still don't like it. I want to quickly pull up that House of Parliament thing you just mentioned here. So that isn't the House of Parliament they're in.
No, it's not. It's obviously.
Oh, yeah, but I saw it in my notes here. It says they really wanted a scene in the House of Commons, but they couldn't justify it in the script because there's clearly no reason generals and spies and Wonder Woman would be allowed into the Houses of Parliament to interrupt the Prime Minister giving a speech. That would just be too disbelievable. But it's just some meeting room that they've walked into that happens to have two opposing sides to it, where everyone goes and it's exactly supposed to be the House of Commons, but they just can't put it in.
I mean, it's fine. Like, most of the audience for this movie is going to be American, and they don't know what the House of Commons actually looks like, okay? So...
I mean, well, I think that's why they wanted it, though, because they're like, oh, British government, people know that. That's exactly why they wanted it, because it's a bad approximation, but it is some effort at an approximation that even distantly interested, or not interested, but knowledgeable people of British politics would go, oh, that's the British politics place.
What they wanted was a room of grubby old men who could be sexist to Diana. That's what they wanted in the script.
Yes, but I think they wanted to do it in Parliament. That's why the room is so obviously set up to be a shit facsimilation of it.
Oh, there's one character we've forgotten also, and that's Etta Candy.
Oh, that's the name of the secretary.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think she's a fine character, but her name is Etta Candy,
yeah,
and that's just ridiculous.
In my notes, I've just got, I like the secretary. I didn't even get the name.
It's something I noticed the first time. I assume it's a comic book accurate name, but Etta Candy.
She's fairly heavily featured in the trailers for the film.
Is she?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess she's in most of like the comedic scenes.
Yeah,
so.
The bits that sell. Remember she does like a little karate chop that she could handle herself? I'm pretty sure that's how trailers would cut, actually, when the trailers were out.
Uh-huh.
She definitely done some good comedic relief stuff. She's kind of like start of second act. That's her function.
Yeah,
and then she just disappears.
She's part of the introduction to I mean, she kind of calls Steve Trevor on the phone sometimes.
Yeah, just for reasons that you probably could have edited out, but sure, yeah.
Yeah. She's there so that the Prime Minister can pick up the phone and say the more important things.
Exactly. Hello, I have the Prime Minister for you, Captain Kirk.
He does lots of motorcycles.
I was going to say that, so this is like his second time in 2 consecutive years where he rides around the forest on a motorbike because he doesn't Star Trek Beyond.
Does it make more sense here? Were motorbikes like a big thing during World War One?
They weren't a big thing. They certainly existed, though. I think they were kind of, maybe in the latter side of the war, they were better than horses for communicating messages.
Maybe. 1918 is a time where, like, cars are still pretty rare.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to quickly Google that.
Because they go to London and there's a lot of people still using horse-drawn carts.
I mean, that was fairly common, I think, until, like, the 50s.
Well, exactly, but they have, like, little, like, motorbikes. It just looked a bit out of place technology-wise.
Let's have a look here. Oh, there was Harley Davidson's in 1918. Yeah,
well, fair enough. The Harley Davidson is an American company and it's a German motorbike.
Units consisted of 18 motorcycle sidecars, combos carrying 6 Vickers machine guns. Yeah, they were in the First World War.
Okay, fair enough. I retract my statements. What else have I got in my notes here? Oh, the action scenes. We didn't talk about the big action scene.
Yeah, so
I wanted to talk
apart
about
from
that.
like the bit where we fight the Germans on the beach.
Mm-hmm. There's 2 big action scenes, I guess.
There's 2 big action scenes, and probably the headline one would be the trenches.
Yes.
That sold the trailers, baby. Mm-hmm. That's a great sequence, though. I love it.
It's really good. So, it's good too because it's like 2 different action scenes almost. You've got the big flashy scene where she comes up from no man's land, and then it moves into the village scene as well. Yeah, definitely. It's very fluid as an action scene. I did think, because I just know stuff about the First World War and trench warfare and stuff like that. She gets to the German defence line, right? She gets to the German trench. Yep.
And there's like no communication trenches, there's no support trenches. Like it's just, oh, we have got the trench now. We have taken this trench.
That's you being a big nerd there.
But I was like, guys, look, we've taken the trench. But there should be other trenches just behind trench and the artillery shell.
There's multiple levels of trenches, I understand.
But no, she just takes that trench and then runs to like the village that must only be 2 seconds away. Which is just terrific for those people that are still... Why are they still living there?
Yeah, it's... Listen, it's a bit insane. But you know what? It's fine. Okay. I think the movie does do a good job of kind of demonstrating the horrors of war. So,
yeah, you see a lot of people with missing body parts.
Yeah, a lot of people with missing body parts. There's the part where they're loading up on the ship in London and they kind of walk... there's like the battle-scarred soldiers coming off of the ship. Yeah, they're just coming back from Europe, yeah. Mm-hmm. And they're like missing eyes and they're missing limbs because, trench warfare was infamously like awful. Yeah, like it was a bad way of conducting Industrial Revolution era warfare. Yeah, it was like just sitting in a trench was basically as deadly as the actual fighting. Yeah, like it was good for stopping horses, but awful for stopping, infections. Yeah, and machine guns. And then eventually tanks, Yeah, but the shot of Wonder Woman emerging from the trench and she's like, everything is grey behind her and she's looking radiant. That's like the iconic shot of this movie, probably. Yeah, I think the big one was actually, the shot was where she takes her shield out instead of using the bracers and she's just sort of holding it as the machine guns are firing all around her and she's just doing spins. It's a very Captain America moment. Very Captain America moment, right? The difference is he had a revolver and she has a sword. I think giving her a sword, by the way, was a stroke of genius creatively. It really differentiates her. You say that too, but I also love the look of the lasso of truth in this movie. Oh, so do I. I don't see why she can't have all 3 though. Yeah. I mean, a whip, I don't know. A whip doesn't feel like it's going to do much in the trenches, where a sword, like a bayonet, is good for, I suppose. I would also like. Just like in Man of Steel, she just finds the fully formed Wonder Woman outfit and it has WW written on the belt. Yeah. Even though whose armor is this?
Yeah,
Where did it come from?
Who does this belong to? Why is it distinctly discoloured from everything else that we have here? Yeah.
Why is it American colors? I don't know.
Nah,
it's just there.
We like our red and blue, baby.
Yeah, I mean,
she gets her tiara from. It's Robin Wright's.
It's Robin Wright's character. Is the tiara comes from.
I should say, see, like the Amazonian warrior armor. I think probably the exact. It's like a mixture between Robin Wright's armor and the Wonder Woman armor. That is exactly what I wear in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It's like an Amazonian. I think that's what it's called. I think it's just a great look.
Yeah, because there is like a sort of Amazonian type faction in Odyssey.
That's exactly what my Odyssey Cassandra wears, and it almost looks like the Wonder Woman outfit, but with the colours of Robin Wright, if you get me, like the brown and bronze. Terrific look.
Yeah, anyway, trench scene. There's just such a lot of great moments in it. Because obviously when Charlie can't snipe it, they blow up the church and destroy the religious symbolism. We don't need any of your religious symbolism in this movie. We're going to blow up a church and everyone's going to cheer.
You know, until you mentioned that to me, I'd never ever considered it like that at all, ever.
I'm sure that's not intentional, but that's the way I choose to take it.
That's the way you interpret the art. That's perfectly valid.
Because this movie is devoid of any Jesus allegories, at least none that I can detect.
Despite literally being about people crafted from gods.
Well, it's not Christian gods though.
It's not Judeo-Christian.
Yes.
It's not any of that. You're correct.
Like, she is the child of the gods, but she's not a Jesus-type child of the gods, so...
True. Zack Snyder never painted her as one either, though.
That's true. He's mainly on Master Chief, not Master Chief. God damn it. He's mainly on Superman being Jesus and sometimes Batman.
True. And then, do we want to talk about the gala? That was also a big moment for the marketing of the film.
Here's the thing about the gala.
Yeah.
It's one of those like scenes that's it feels very
Indiana Jones.
It's very Indiana Jones. It doesn't really contribute much to the plot, really.
Yeah, just Wonder Woman mugs a woman in the forest.
I do enjoy Chris Pine flirting with Dr. Poison in a German accent, and she's visibly turned on.
Yeah, and then eventually like trips up and she's like, I'm not interested. Or like your eyes are on something else, clearly. And it's because Diana's walked in looking radiant. But the sword is like a back piece. It looks great.
The scene between her and Ludendorff makes no sense whatsoever if Ludendorff isn't Ares. Where he's like talking about the gods and what do you know of the gods? And all this is like, well, Ludendorff, what do you know of the gods? You're just some guy.
You're just some dude. You know nothing. Maybe those pills he's getting does like infuse him with Ares, the power of Ares, perhaps, you know?
Maybe so.
Like maybe this is all cobbled together from different subplots that were cut out of the film, you know, like what was in the story versus what made it to the film.
Potentially. It doesn't feel like a mess in the way that Suicide Squad does though. So.
Yeah, but every film always has like more in it in its conception than actually makes the final cut, you know?
Yeah,
there could just be
I'm
bits that are edited around and it just still works, apart from one weird line of dialogue.
Yeah, I mean, we should talk about the big last fight as well, because...
Yeah, we've kind of danced around it, but we could talk about it.
We've danced around it. It's just dumb. It's just a big
You get a wonderful
like,
flashback where she
fight.
actually hears what Chris Pine said to her when she was just stun grenaded and couldn't hear it first.
Yeah. They save it for a more thematically appropriate moment.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, he's dead now, but we need him again, so let's just... She didn't hear what he said, and now suddenly she can remember what he said.
The fact that it's a plane with a bunch of bombs in it and a guy called Steve has to blow it up, it's very... It's an unfortunate coincidence is what it is.
It's an unfortunate coincidence is what it is. You're not wrong. You're absolutely not wrong at all.
But yeah, the fight between... It just feels so unnecessary for what the movie is. It's that like, oh, it's a superhero movie, so we have to have a big CGI fight scene at the end of it.
Ares never learned to dodge.
He never learned to dodge. My favourite thing in that whole thing is where like Wonder Woman's like, there is good in humanity too, and he shouts, lies! It makes me laugh every time.
Yeah. He's like, no, it's not true. And he does the Darth Vader join me and we can rule the galaxy as his uncle and niece.
She says brother at the end.
His brother
so
and sister.
His
brother and sister.
Yeah. Yeah, he just, with the mustache under the helmet, he just looks so silly.
Yeah, he looks like a nerd.
If they were going to do it, they should have had, like, the mustache to change into a big beard or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just really weird.
It should have become more of like a Riker goatee. Because they have
exactly.
When you see all the gods in the Justice League, you see Zeus. He looks more like an Ares. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. Put the guy they had to play Zeus in the armor. You can buy it with him.
But yeah, that's why I liked this interpretation of Ares up until that point, where he wasn't like a direct fighter. He was more manipulative than that. But then it's like, never mind. He's just gonna be a big guy and shoot lightning and play around with tank treads and all this.
Well, after the end of the film, after that fight, Kyle, we return to London, and
we do.
Our
Speedy.
heroes are gathered together, and they're looking at like a wall of the fallen, and someone's already put up a picture of Captain Kirk, Steve Trevor.
Yeah, I guess he had other, and maybe it was Etta Candy.
Yeah, like there was older pictures, because it was an older one of him in America. It's a little American plane. I find planes in World War I so goofy, just like paper, like parasols with like a speedboat engine on it.
It's really weird seeing that like giant World War I airplane. It's like this thing is impossible.
Yeah.
There's no way they built this in 1918.
Yeah, right. And we just sort
You're
of
pushing your luck with the giant plane in Captain America. This one is ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly right. We get a little. I think there's. I can't remember if there's a narration or it's just there's nothing, and it's just you see everyone sort of standing.
There's Diana's talking about like, I used to think this and now I think this and all that.
Yeah, it's like the flashback fades out because one of my last notes is actually I forgot this whole film was a flashback.
It is a flashback. Like it's not like there's narration throughout or anything.
Yeah.
So
and then she ends the film by emailing back Bruce Wayne. And saying thanks, Bruce.
Yep.
Thank you, Batman. Just
Thanks
such
for
a
the
long
flashback, Bruce.
Such a long shadow. Just like, thanks for triggering my PTSD. And then she's like, I have now returned after the events of 2016's Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice Ultimate Edition, and I'm now here to serve humanity once more. My century of absence is gone, and I'm here to fight.
See, I was going to say this was one of my questions, because obviously this is answered technically in Wonder Woman 1984, I guess, but what has Wonder Woman been doing for 100 years? Just working in a museum?
Well, Justice League, Bruce Wayne challenges her on this, and he's like, where the hell have you been for a century, you fucking coward? Just because you're worried about losing someone, and he invokes Steve Trevor's name. And Wonder Woman almost beats the shit out of him.
Right.
So it's like, that's a good question, actually. What were you doing? And she admits that, yeah, she maybe should have done something. But she's just keeping a low profile.
But she couldn't stay in one place for too long because people would realise that she doesn't age.
Yeah.
She seems to be rich in Batman v Superman. Like, she drives off in, like, a fancy sports car.
She works in the Louvre and earns a lot of money.
I guess that's it, yeah.
But up until Wonder Woman 1984 comes out, the whole DCEU all sings from the same hymn sheet that after the First World War, she basically didn't do much until Batman vs Superman. Sure, you could tell a story in the middle where she'd done something super covertly and low-key, and that kind of could have been what 1984 was about, but 1984 very much paints it as, this is what she does. This isn't like...
Well, the end of the movie kind of leaves you on that note as well, because she, in her like end speech, she talks about being a protector for humanity and all that, and it just kind of drops the fact that, oh, actually, she didn't do that for 100 years.
Yeah, but I think that's more of like her
now.
intentions going on, though. That's kind of how I've always saw it.
I guess you can read it that way. It's just like, I don't know, the lesson. It's like she gets the lesson from Steve that you have to. It's not about deserve. It's about what you believe. It's in her opening. Yeah. And then she just doesn't follow that advice for 100 years. Yep. It's weird. Yeah,
pretty much. I think it's because she's worried about getting hurt. She's worried about losing someone again that was just like another Steve Trevor. Again, Justice League deals with all of this, you know? But I think we've come to the end of this episode, Kyle.
I I think we have. Final thoughts. Obviously, because we're us, we nitpicked it a lot, but overall, I do think this is a really good movie.
Yeah, really enjoyable time. I had fun watching Wonder Woman 2017.
It's a classic superhero movie. It's not quite as silly as a Marvel movie.
Not quite as
it's a
silly.
little more serious.
Yeah, there's a little bit more going on.
They do have their moments of humour.
Probably a high watermark for DCEU. Never know if we'll touch this again.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, people like the Suicide Squad, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like the Suicide Squad, but we have a lot more to do before we get there.
Yep, and just to clarify, as we've said before, next time we're doing Justice League, as in 2017's Justice League.
The Justice League, Kyle. Is that our next film?
It is our next film.
Oh
yes.
boy, yeah, that was 2017. I forgot about that.
Yep, because obviously, Nathan, they did Justice League before they did half members of the Justice League Together in movies. It just makes sense.
It's just what you do, isn't it? Those Warner Brothers cats, they love to rush their universe.
Yep. And, I've heard nothing, but I can't wait to finally experience Henry Cavill's lack of mustache. I've heard about it for so long.
Have you seen pictures of him in Mission Impossible?
I have seen pictures of him in Mission Impossible. He has a lovely
Yeah,
big
he's a very
mustache.
handsome man, so just picture when he done the Justice League reshoots, he looked like that. It makes the film a lot more watchable.
Alright, Nathan, where can people find you on the internet?
They can find me at Nathan Tinney on Twitter and Blue Sky and all those big social medias that we love. We still use Hive, don't we?
We love Hive.
I'm just such a hiver.
It's the next
I'm a
big
hive
thing.
head. But yeah, Blue Sky, Threads, Nathan.Tinney, Twitter at Nathan Tinney. I'm fairly easy to find. Also, I run the at Enter the DCEU on Twitter as well. Enter the SnyderVerse is the actual account name, but at Enter the DCEU is the handle. You can find me there as well. Kyle, where can we find you online?
Well, of course, you can find me at Kyle the Scott on YouTube. Less so on Twitter now, as you may have seen if you watch my YouTube channel. Doing a bit of a Twitter detox right now. But, I do still have an account. I did delete my account.
Maybe if you give him some more followership, you'll have reason to return.
Maybe
you still on Threads?
Probably not. I've never really been a massive user of Threads, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not a threader. I'm not a threadhead.
Not a threadhead. Very good.
But yes, mainly my YouTube channel. That's where I post all my stuff. I'm working on a Halo Wars video, so if you want more stuff about the Chief, that's not where you'll find him because he's not in that game. But, And we will see you next time for the Justice League.
Bye!